First up, we have a movie called Affection. Affection is directed by B.T. Meza, M-E-Z-A. Really is a three-hander. I think it's almost fully a three-hander. I don't think we see any other people. We have Ellie, played by Jessica Rothe. We have Bruce, here I am, played by Joseph Cross. And we have Alice, played by Julianne Lane. Now, I was going to go into spoilers on this. I might do light spoilers on this because Greg actually did a bunch of spoilers on this. And I think he's got most of them. He's got all of them in the Patreon. He may or may not post them into our main feed as well, or on YouTube. So I will give you some spoilers on this because it's a movie that definitely has some big twists and turns. Basic concept is our main character, Ellie. At the beginning of the movie, we just see her in quite a lot of distress. After a car crash on the road, she gets hit by another car. You're assuming she's dead or in terrible shape. And then you know nothing about it. That's a cold open. And then you see her wake up, basically like an amnesiac, in her bed, freaking out because she's basically next to a guy she doesn't know. That's Bruce. And there's a daughter that she doesn't know she has. And once again, that's Alice. And essentially it comes out very quickly. Bruce tells her that, hey, you've got a condition. It causes you have seizures, you have various medical problems that basically cause you, when you go through one of these major kind of grand mal type seizures, you essentially forget everything. And we've been trying to slowly bring you back, but every time you come back here, you're freaked out because you don't know who we are. And you think, sometimes you even think you're somebody else. You have this like imagined other life. So right out of the gate, you're like, what's going on here? And it's a personality drama with some, I don't know, they're not really supernatural elements because it's more like a possible medical personality issue she's got going on. So it's more of that's kind of the issue for the first third of the movie. The problem is this movie is quite schizophrenic, and I'm not going to let you know until I get to the spoilers what happens in the second part of the movie, even the second 2/3 of the movie, I guess. It's probably about a half an hour before the quote-unquote twist occurs. But let's just say I felt throughout the first half of the movie that she's being gaslit to some degree. You're not sure what exactly, but just the fact that this movie exists makes you think that it's not a movie about her just recovering her memory of her former life. You feel like something's not right. Bruce is just too nice and perfect and giving her way too much exposition about her life and, keep reassuring her. Although you keep getting reassured because Alice, this little girl, why would this little girl, make the stuff up and also gaslight her mom? So you do wonder about that. But the whole time you're thinking like this Bruce guy, he's maybe both of the women, the little girl and the mother are both like captives. Maybe he's a serial killer or some kind of a weird psychological torturer of some sort. You're not sure what it is, but it doesn't seem right. And you know that the other shoe is going to drop at some point. So what I will say is this movie, when it does change, it becomes a very different kind of movie. And I think your enjoyment of this movie is going to depend on whether you like both halves and you're fine with it being a very schizophrenic movie, or whether you're more like me, who really wanted it to lean into what the second half was and own that. And to me, the first half of the movie was, in a lot of ways, a time waster. Now, I know that part of the point is it's supposed to be a rug pull for you. Like, oh my gosh, it's just this kind of a movie. And then it becomes something really different. Wow, that's crazy. I'm surprised. But like I said, because of the way the movie is set up, you know that something not good is happening, because otherwise this movie doesn't exist. And the movie poster art is also weird and creepy. Is there some kind of a figure in red? And are they coming out of hell, or are they on fire? You're not sure what's going on, but you can tell it's either going to be a horror movie or supernatural. Something's happening that's out of the ordinary. So you know you're going there. So to some degree, I feel like the first half hour is wheel spinning, unless the twist really like builds on that first half hour. And to me, it does, but it doesn't. So I would say, do my thumbnail here before I get into the spoilers. My thumbnail is, for me, like I said, it's two kinds of movies, and I don't think it has the conviction to really fully leap into either. To some people, that might be a strength. To me, that's a weakness. I would rather either be the first part, just this kind of drama about memory and identity and what does it mean to be yourself, and could you survive in a world where you never know who you are, and you have to keep relearning who you are. I mean, maybe not the most interesting movie in the world, but there could be really be something there. Or would it be the second kind of movie, which I'm going to discuss in a minute because I don't want to spoil it? Or it could be just the second kind of movie and just go in both feet into that kind of movie. And I feel like if it would have done that, it would have been better, in my opinion. So for me, my rating on this is exactly based on that schizophrenia, and that is I am exactly in the middle. 2.5 stars. I can't recommend it. I can't really pan it 100% because I definitely like some of the things it was doing, and I would have liked it a lot if it would have gone whole hog, but it really didn't. So for me, it's I can't recommend it. I can't unrecommend it. It's 2.5 stars, which is sad because to most people, that's almost the most damning kind of review is mediocre. But to some degree, that's what it earned by being such a split identity of movie. Now, really quickly, I will get into the spoiler half of the movie and what it does and what it becomes, because it's interesting to know that this happens in the movie. And like I said, Greg goes into a pretty full version of that as well. And Eric might, by the time we listen to this too. I think he was going to watch it, but at the time I'm recording this, I hadn't heard whether Eric watched it or not. So I told you what happens in kind of the first half of the movie, or the style of it. What's the big change is Ellie has been seeing visions. She's seen like she thought a body or like it was a creature, or maybe it was a zombie or a ghostly visage. She doesn't know what it was in the woods. And eventually she goes out and investigates this big old barn on the property, which, by the way, she never leaves the property either. That's suspicious, right? She has to stay there because isolation, I think at some point Bruce says something like, isolation is key to your recovery or something like that. Once again, highly suspicious. Anyway, she ends up in this barn, and lo and behold, she discovers that essentially herself and Alice are like these, not really creatures per se. He's taking like he has some sci-fi ability to basically grow a human from just DNA and genetic material and I guess synthetic flesh. I'm not sure what. It's like he has one of those like round fire pits that you have in your yard, but his is like a a human generator. But cooks a ball. Oh yeah, there's this. He keeps in this like this heating closet. You have a heating closet where you keep like I don't know, meat or something, or a shish kebab thing in there. Maybe a bunch of like chickens. He's got this eyeball brain thing in there just pulsating. And I say eyeball brain. Literally, it looks like a giant brain with a whole bunch of eyeballs all around it. It's very, very 50s B-movie sci-fi. And that's what I mean by I wish it would have leaned into it. Because if this movie wouldn't, it basically becomes a mad scientist movie. A very B-movie graded type of sci-fi movie in its ideas. It's still trying to kind of keep that serious indie drama sheen on it through the rest of the movie, which I think is a big mistake. And there's so much preposterous stuff and stuff that just doesn't make any sense that I would have forgiven if the movie would have just gone like, you know what? All the way along it should have said like, we are going to a throwback B-movie, sci-fi, mad scientist, creature feature kind of thing that you don't make anymore very much. And logic be damned, because logic doesn't matter in those kind of movies. You just do crazy stuff because crazy stuff's happening and it's a mad scientist and you just kind of believe it. They'll tell you some kind of science is real, and because it's such a preposterous movie, you just kind of go like, all right, sounds good. But this movie kind of wants to have it both ways. Anyway, you can take that eyeball thing, take this supposedly magic PC he's got in there. I don't know how he has all this knowledge and ability, and he's not working for secret areas of the government or something. But either way, he's able to take these files that are essentially personalities or personality portions from his dead wife and dead daughter and turn them into these creatures. The problem is, like when you transplant a liver or something and it gets rejected by the body and the person has to get a new liver or die. In this case, the personality gets rejected by the meat eyeball brain that turns into a human. And once that starts happening, they start having these seizures and they start losing things. And eventually he has to go mad scientist and murder version 5.0 of Ellie or 5.0 of Alice and get new ones. And that's kind of the premise of what's happened in the second half of this movie. I'll just say all that happens after that point. I'm not going to go through all the details, but what happens after that point is that now she knows what's going on and she's freaking out. He may or may not try to kill her. You may have a zombie version of her running around. You may have a new version get created. You may or may not have him having to deal with now how does Alice deal with all this stuff. It gets very preposterous. It's all played very seriously when it's not very serious at that point. And it's got some big gaping holes, like I said, in the logic that you could have bought if it was straight up B movie sci-fi. But in the version it's giving us, you're supposed to be taking seriously, I think. And it's really hard to take seriously when certain characters are able to now use this magical human creating machine that they've never seen before, and somehow they're able to adeptly make it happen. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the second half, and it isn't near as fun as I would have liked it to be. I really want this movie to go into Evil Dead or Dead Alive levels of kind of gross out creature camp, or even The Fly. I could see this being along the lines of something like Cronenberg's The Fly, where that's straight up a mad scientist movie where he keeps making a mistake and he keeps trying to fix the mistake, and he ends up making a worse mistake by doing that, and it just becomes a big monstrous mess. And this movie is just waiting for that kind of stuff to happen. Good performances by the different actors here, especially Jessica Rothe as Ellie. She is quite good and really doing her best with this role, but I think it's like some of his iterations of Ellie, it's cooked. It needed a little more, eyeball brain juice in there. So unfortunately, I only go 2.5 stars. If you want a little more full breakdown of that second half of the movie and where it works and doesn't work, I think Greg does a pretty good job of hitting all the points that I would have hit as well. And he really lays it out for you.